Here's a kind of a bigger story, and I'm going to tell you for why lies don't work. Here's Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada. And this, I'm just thinking this one as I go. Here's Justin Timberlake. I don't know how tall Mark Carney is or Justin Timberlake is. This is Mark Carney, and this is Justin Timberlake. Not Justin Trudeau, Justin Timberlake. Well, we can make Justin Trudeau, but whatever, right? Whatever their weight is, let's imagine their weight. I'm almost certain it's not equal. Do you agree? It's very, very unlikely that they have exactly the same equal weight. Type in agree if you agree. I'm going to take this step by step. It'd be surprising, it'd be shocking if they had exactly the same weight. Most likely there's a difference, right? And we could pick, as a hockey player or something, just if you want to make the difference more apparent. Okay, so we agree on that. And we also agree that whatever it is, either Mark Carney is heavier than Justin Timberlake, or Justin Timberlake is heavier than, but it can't be both. That's what I'm doing here, like no smoking sign. Like it can't be both. If one is heavier than the other, it's not symmetrical. You can't be both lighter and heavier than the same person. Type in agree if you agree. Like that's just not possible. Like take your sister, you can't be heavier and lighter than your sister. It doesn't work. All right, cool. So, and notice that this impossibility exists out there in the world. So let's imagine, right? This is the world, right? Good old-fashioned world. And this is our representations of the world. Because quite apart from the world, like right now, there's a city called Winnipeg somewhere. There's trees on the Surrey campus, and they're there whether I think about them or not, whether I can say informative things about them or not. And now I've got my representations of the world. And you can imagine our representations, right, hang together. You can imagine two axes. I'm going to make this starts to look a little bit like what we would call metaphysics and epistemology in philosophy. Metaphysics is the theory of reality, and epistemology is the theory of knowledge. And you might imagine two axes, a vertical and horizontal one. And the horizontal one, let me just grab my typing tools here, tracks coherence. So like one of the things we want our representations to do, right, is to be coherent. So for instance, if you say, right, that, you got 41% in your math class, you can't say that you passed your math class. You can't both say, I got 41% in my math class and I passed my math class. It's one or the other. You're being incoherent. And the moment you say that, even without checking your transcript, I know something's wrong. Do you agree? Like, suppose someone tells me I got 41% and I passed about the same class. I know something's wrong even without checking. Type in agree if you agree. Like merely by coherence, merely by the purple axis, I can know something's messed up right away. Right. And suppose, though, you tell me something, instead of telling me I had 41% and I passed my math class, suppose you just told me I had 41%. To verify that, I would need the axis of, now we have axis of correspondence. I'm going to call the other axis axis of coherence. The other one I'm going to call axis of correspondence, right? So let me type this, correspondence, right? So if you just tell me, Mark, I had 41% in my math class, or I had 91%, right? Why would you brag about 41? But whatever, right? I'd have to go check your transcript somewhere. Here's your little transcript, a little piece of paper, in order to verify that that representation corresponds to the relevant fact in the world, namely your transcript, right? And I do need to go figure out, I need to check that out. It's not merely by an incoherence. There's no incoherence on the surface of it. If you tell me you had 91% in your math class, maybe that's surprising, but there's nothing incoherent about it. It could be true, could be false, but I'd have to go check. So far, do you agree with that? I'd have to go check the transcript to see if it's true. Type in agree if you agree. Again, it's stepwise here. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to take a slogan from, there's a roboticist I liked a lot, Rodney Brooks. I don't know if I'm repeating myself, if I brought this up in previous conversations, but he's the one who invented the Roomba. Does anyone know what the Roomba is? Little vacuum cleaner that just a little robot goes around, cleans your floor, bumps into a wall, turns around, bumps into another wall, just keeps on cleaning your floor. Type in yes if you know what that is, the Roomba. It's quite the yeah, it's quite a nice invention, by the way. And the Roomba doesn't have a plan of everyone's kitchen and house, right? Like the Roomba, once you buy it, you just put it on the ground and it starts to sweep your floor. And the reason that he had a nice slogan for explaining his design, he said, the world is its own best model. The world is its own best model. So if you look here, the W, right? That's the world. And the world ensures its own coherence. Like when we said, look, you can't have a situation like if Mark Carney's heavier than Justin Timberlake, that's great. And if Justin Timberlake is heavier than Mark Carney, that's great. But it's the world itself that repels both of those things being true at the same time, right? You don't need a special police that says square circles are forbidden. We can't have any of those, right? You'll never catch those at the Border Patrol when you're at Peace Arch crossing into Washington State. You know, no one will ever say, you know, sir, are you hiding a square circle in your trunk? There are no square circles. You don't need to police square circles. The world is taking care of that. And the idea is the world is consistent, right? So I can go over here and I can type that the world is internally consistent. Like whatever the world is, and we don't know all of it, but it's consistent in the manner that it doesn't have square circles. And then if Mark Carney's heavier than Justin Timberlake, you can't be vice versa and so on. Do we agree that the world is consistent? Type in agree if you agree. Again, I don't want to say anything crazy. I just want to do it really, really step by step. All right. So now let's swing back to what I wanted to say. What is it to lie? Well, to lie, if we had to make a drawing, right? And let's try to keep this color coding, is to propose a representation of some sort, right, that fails to match with the corresponding fact in the world. So let's say there's a fact in the world, right? Like just like when you had your transcript, right? And it's a representation. So here's my R in purple here, right? That fails to correspond. So here I'm going to put the orange axis, right? It purports to be in a certain way, but actually, you know what? It isn't. So if you take Nicola, right? Can everyone see my little dot when I'm moving my dot here? Type in yes if you can see my little dot. Because I want to use some of these resources I've put on the screen. Yeah. All right. So Nicola, the representation is, yes, these cars are working on hydrogen. And the fact is, these cars are not working on hydrogen. So that's what a lie is. The lie is this picture here, right? Let me just kind of make a dotted line around it. This is a diagrammatic representation of a lie. It's saying that something is the case when in fact that thing is not the case. Is that a clear representation of what a lie is? If that representation is clear, type in clear. So remember everything I'm doing. Just let's go back just so we track, because you might have lost sight of what's the goal here, right? The goal is I'm going to justify the claim that all lies eventually get exposed and backfire. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you kyung. And not just like kyung because like there's a large god in the sky that looks at us and gets upset when we lie and he shoots down lightning or something like that. No. A purely non-supernatural, reasonable reason for why lies get exposed. Okay, so suppose I said something. Let's go back to Justin Timberlake and Mark Carney. Let's say that I said something to the effect, and let me remove these dotted lines here if I can. No, apparently I can't. Let's say on this axis here of representation, I said that Mark Carney weighs less. This is my weighing less than Justin Timberlake. So at some point I spoke to someone and I said, did you know that Mark Carney weighs less? Actually, let's do the surprising one. I think Mark Carney might be a little lighter than Justin Timberlake. But let's imagine I tell you, surprisingly, I met both people and we had a chance to work out and we weighed ourselves. And wouldn't you know it, Mark Carney weighs more than Justin Timberlake. Suppose I tell you this. And again, you're at no position to check that because it's not like you have access to both persons and you're going to work out with them and weigh them. So you're going to take my word on it. So it's like, all right, Mark said that. And you're not sure whether or not that bears correctly on the fact at hand, right? But essentially what I've done is I've told you something like this. Where's my arrow? I've said this, right? Of these two possibilities, it is this one. Now, logically, if I'm coherent, that means I can't at a later date say that it's this, right? Do you understand that a moment, like if I said that in the morning at time AM when I was talking to you, and later you put a couple beers in me and I say the reverse, you know something's wrong. You know I'm bullshitting, I'm lying. You agree? Type in agree if you agree. Like if in the morning I told you it went one way, and by the afternoon I tell you it goes the other way, even if you don't check, you know, Mark, you're a lying sack of crap. You're a liar. So why is it that lies get exposed? Here's why. When I lie, when I tell you something, I either can't verify or it goes against the facts, right? So either I can't verify, that's just pure guessing and BSing, or it goes against the facts. I have to devote memory storage to tracking what I've said in order to ensure coherence. And that is, every time I'm meeting a new journalist, every time I'm talking at the supper with my wife, I'm the CEO of Nicola. Every time I talk, small talk with my neighbor, every time I have to keep the web of lies that I've said coherent. Otherwise, any failure of coherence on my part will be an automatic telltale detector sign that I'm lying, and everyone will know not to trust me. And I now have to allocate all these resources of memory, right, to keeping together the story. That is something that a human cannot do over the long haul. And if I tell the truth, I offload that storage onto the world. I don't have to memorize all of the different things I've said because I wasn't lying. The world is the repositor, right? The place that houses the truth of everything I've said. So anyone can go check, and that guarantees that what I'm saying is coherent because the consistency of the world guarantees the coherence if you tell the truth. If, however, you say lies, that's an L, the coherence has to be guaranteed by you. It's underwritten by your resources and not the world's resources. Now, in any contest between a human telling a story and the world, who do you think, if you give it enough time, is going to eventually break down? The world or the storyteller? You let it run, right? You tell them, keep on going. Eventually, the storyteller will be caught saying A and not A at the same time. Eventually. The world never will. Why? Because as we said, the world is consistent. Right? So it's just a matter of time if you're lying that people are going to figure you out, bud. It's just a matter of time. If you have a policy of truth where you always tell the truth, you don't need to worry. First of all, you sleep better, your conscience is better because you're not allocating all of these cognitive resources to tracking all of the lies that you've said. Whatever the case is, that's what's a guarantor of your truthness, right? The world itself. And it's guaranteed that you're going to be coherent because the world is consistent, right? You've offloaded the consistency to the world. The world's ensuring that. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry that tomorrow someone's going to charge you, find an old tweet, an old email, and say, see, you are saying something that clearly can't both be at the same time. Therefore, you must be lying about one of those things. No one will ever find that email. No one will ever find that tweet because at every step, you committed yourself to being truth-telling, to always say the truth, including I don't know, by the way, right? That's a legitimate position. Like if you don't know, like, by the way, I don't know whether Mark Carney is heavier, right, than Justin. I'm assuming Justin's a little heavier than Mark Carney, but the truth is I don't know. Anything other than I don't know would be a lie, right? So a truth-telling commitment guarantees that in the long run, if you got two competitors, right, let's call them the liar and the truth teller, and they start a race. Here's the race. There are the starting blocks. Go! Dun, 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 dun. Like right now, the liar is beating the truth teller. It's a close match, but right now the liar is beating the truth teller. Eventually, something's going to happen, right? The story will disintegrate, and the truth teller invariably will win the finish line and will win the prize. Invariably, this explosion that I've drawn here, right, will happen. Guaranteed. So this is a perfectly natural, non-supernatural, non-religious reason, also informed by a heap load of samples of cases, why all lies eventually get exposed and backfire. And so therefore, and I'm going to wrap it up with this, never